Hey guys, Brandon here from Smoking Gun Coffee Roasters in beautiful Chilliwack, British Columbia. I'm going to be showing you the Chemex brew method. This is like glamping brew method. Love it. This is the way I make most of my coffee at home. Beautiful, fantastic way to brew. Not super practical, maybe if you're on the trail, if you're backpacking. More of like a, glamp style. So here we go. This is, of course, the Chemex that I'm going to be using. If using a Chemex, it's best to be using Chemex filters. They come in a variety of shapes and sizes, different finishes. Whatever you choose to get is probably fine, whether it's natural, whether it's oxidized. These are unfolded. Don't be afraid. Quite simply, fold it one time in half, fold it again in half. We got ourselves a folded Chemex filter. Other things that are really helpful if making pour over coffee is a scale. Some way to keep time. Cell phone will do just fine. Obviously we need a grinder, and I'm going to be using the Vessel Java and freshly roasted coffee, as well as water. Now with water, I suggest using water that's just off boil. So what I like to do is get it to a rolling boil, then take the lid off, let it sit for about 30 seconds off of the fire, and that gives us a good temperature to work with for our pour overs. For most filter style brew methods, I suggest a ratio of between 15 and 17 to 1. So for every 1 gram of coffee, we're going to be adding about 15 to 17 grams of water. For Chemex, I like to use a ratio of about 16 to 1. I'm here with some friends, so I'm going to be making a double. So I'm going to be adding 40 grams of coffee. So quite simply, to calculate our water, we're going to multiply 40 by 16, and that's going to give us our total amount of water, which is 640 grams. What I like to do is actually pre-wet my filter. And with Chemex filters, the recommendation is that the side with triple goes in line with the spout. I'm going to add my water, pre-wet my filter. This not only eliminates some of the papery taste that can come off of a filter, but also gives us the opportunity to pre-warm our vessel. So once that pours through, we're just going to discard that water. And then we're going to add our coffee. I've already ground 20 grams. The vessel grinder is great because it almost perfectly fits 20 grams of coffee, which is really, really nice for a 1 cup. But like I said, I want to share with my friends. So I'm going to go ahead and grind another 20 grams. For pour over methods, I suggest using a grind size that's sort of medium coarse. So a little bit more fine than you would use for a French press, a little bit coarser than you would use for something, say, like an AeroPress. You're looking for like a little bit finer than kosher salt. Now that our coffee is ground, I'm going to add the rest, which brings me up to 40 grams. And now my water was already pre-warmed. I'm going to start adding it. I like to make just a little divot with my finger, just right in the middle, and start my pour in that divot. So for my initial pour, I'm going to be adding about double the amount of water to the coffee that I put in. So in this case, I'm going to add about 80 grams of water. This is called the bloom. So I'm going to start my timer, and I'm going to add my 80 grams of water and let it bloom for about 30 seconds. Now the bloom, the coffee looks like it's kind of puffing up like the top of a muffin. This is the coffee releasing its carbon dioxide. It's good to bloom your coffee to assist with the extraction in your pour over. So after about 30 seconds, I'm going to add my next dose of water. I like to add water just to about the top of the glass lip here on the Chemex. Using a gooseneck kettle is really handy because it allows you more control over the directionality of your pour and helps you out with a more even extraction. I'm going to let that filter through so that the water level goes down before I add my next infusion of water, bringing me up to that total amount of, in this case, 640 grams. There's lots of different methods with Chemex as far as dosing and frequency. This is just the way I like to make it. And so now I'm going to add my next dose of water. I like to have most, if not all of my water in by about 2 minutes. And I'm looking for a total brew time, something like, you know, between 4 and 5 minutes. Now, obviously, it's all gonna come down to taste. If you're finding that your water isn't filtering down quick enough, like if your total brew time's like 6-7 minutes, that's a good indication that your grind was a little bit too fine and you should back it off on the Java a little bit. If you're finding that your water is blasting through and your total brew time is something more like, you know, 2 minutes and 30 or 3 minutes, indication that you should probably fine up that grind a little bit. We want to be able to have enough time for the coffee to brew in the top and actually extract the good stuff into the bottom. So we're about 4 minutes 20. If you find that it's getting clogged up, that your flow isn't working as well as it should, you can also grab the filter, just kind of lift it up, reset it. That's totally fine. I'm going to discard my filter, let the last little bit come out. I'm going to aerate it a little bit. And there you have it. Chemex pour over coffee in the wild. If you find that your brew isn't as, you know, strong as you would like, I would resist the urge to continuously add more and more coffee. Instead, I would stick with that ratio of between 15 and 17 to 1 and instead try fining up your grind a little bit. Likewise, if you find that it's too strong, you're finding it bitter, I would resist the urge to add less coffee and instead coarse up that grind a little bit. Glamping Coffee, thanks for watching. Oh, that's the best one yet.